So you don't need safety glasses?
Maybe I should, but I don't. Okay, so a lot of people are kind of curious on how this is created because it's not really evident right away. If you want to take the time to take a look at this, and you're welcome to touch the different surface textures. It's all inspired by nature and wonderful textures, colors, not specific things, but just the idea of a walk in the woods with aspens, or the braided river with water flowing, or the hot springs. You know, the titles will give you a clue of what was in my mind, because it might not be that evident without the title. But if you see something different, I'm excited to hear what you might see in one of these. But you know, wildflowers or 10,000 lakes, things like that were my inspiration. And you've seen my other work that's the more realistic watercolors, which Horizon Gallery has. And this morphed from that. I'm using the same materials except for the addition of the wax. And that's what I'm going to show you here. We were waiting for you. I came at the wrong time. I'm sorry. The technical term for the type of medium and style is encaustic, which is kind of a cumbersome word, and it scares people. It sounds like poison or something like that. But encaustic is from a Greek word that means to burn in, and that's what I'm going to demonstrate. Each layer of rice paper that's got colorful watercolor stains on it is layered with a layer of wax, and you have to fuse it to the next layer with a piece of, or with the torch, and each piece gets fused on top of the next one. So when the watercolor on the paper is infused with wax, it becomes translucent, and I use many layers of those translucent papers to stack on top of each other and fuse them in between. So, drum roll. Sometimes it doesn't work.
Careful where you point that.
I know. Sometimes this is old, and I knew this might not have to work. It worked on the last group. Whoa! Yep, it works. You can turn it down because I don't want to burn my piece up. There we go. So I've got just a sample piece here, and you can see through the color is showing through in one part, and it's kind of cloudy and not clear in the other part, and that's what I'm going to fuse here. So really should have it level, but you can see the wax melting, and then the layer below, when I'm burning it, come through, and that's the burning in process. Don't touch that right now. This just takes...
That one's 10% off now.
As soon as it's not shiny, then I can touch it, and it's no longer wet, and I wouldn't damage it at that point. But, so I've just got a layer of paper on top of the green background, and there are different layers of bamboo on that one. The upstairs, there are several that have bamboo. That is from my way back life of beginning studying Chinese painting, and I did that for many years, and that's how I grew accustomed and familiar with rice paper and ink, and then I would do it with watercolor, and then I chose to do watercolor on top of these boards. There's a metal backing, and then there's a board on top that's got a metallic surface on it. That's what I paint my usual watercolors on. And in the meantime, from using all of those materials, then I added the wax, and so this is what I call my alter ego. It's related, but visually it's so much different.
That's the last step from the painting?
I do this several times.
Oh, several times.
I put down one layer of paper on top of some wax I've laid on the board, and I paint it with wax, and I do that process. And then I put another piece of paper on top and do that same process with layering it with wax. So that
Can I
Yeah,
Is the
yeah.
color in the wax, or you
The
also
color's
put
in the watercolor.
in the watercolor?
Yeah,
So
the
when you
wax
put
I use is
watercolor-
always clear. I never use colored wax, but many encaustic artists do use brilliantly highly pigmented colors. I
So
just
your
don't.
paper is painted with watercolor
Right.
and then waxed?
The
and then-
paper and watercolor come first and the wax comes second, and that's just to fuse the layers together. And the purpose of the wax in my technique is to make the paper translucent so that you can see different textures on top and below each other.
Okay, how many layers do you typically have? Like
How many layers of wax?
Well, no, how many layers of paper?
Usually two.
Two, okay.
3 gets a little murky.
Uh-huh.
And as you can see, I kind of like bright colors. So most of these colors start out really bright because there are a couple of layers of either wax or other paper on top of them. Although this one is just one layer. And so this came out really bright, and I didn't want to go any further with that one because I just liked it how it was. And this is one of the few that isn't inspired by some nature lovely scene like aspen leaves or the river or fish. This one is more like champagne bubbles, and I call it happy dance.
Is that one watercolor painting on paper then?
Yes.
Just one sheet?
Just one sheet.
And are some of them multiple sheets?
Yeah.
Spread out?
Well, you can see the ones that I've used
Yeah.
in